Hello and welcome. Today, we're re-journeying back to the ancient city of Colossae to uncover some powerful lessons for our lives right now. It's a fascinating story because, interestingly, the Apostle Paul never actually visited this city. So how did a vibrant church get established there? That's where the story gets really good. The key figure is a man named Epaphras. According to Colossians 1-7, Epaphras was a dear fellow servant and a faithful minister of Christ who brought the gospel to the Colossians. But where did he learn it? He was a student of Paul's during his extended ministry in Ephesus. Acts 19:10 tells us that for 2 years, Paul taught so effectively that all who dwelt in Asia heard the word of the Lord Jesus. But this wasn't just Paul running around everywhere. It was Paul investing in people like Epaphras, who then carried the message to their own communities like Colossae, Laodicea, and Hierapolis. This shows us an incredible principle of multiplication. Paul understood that the work of the gospel couldn't be done by one person alone, but he trained others to labor just as he did. The church at Colossae is what we might call a second-generation fruit of apostolic truth. It's a powerful testament to how God's work spreads not just through visible leaders, but through dedicated, trained laborers who take the truth and plant it in new soil. When truth is taught deeply at the center, it radiates outward. This is a divine model for how the gospel can truly saturate a region. But Epaphras wasn't just a teacher. He was a prayer warrior. Colossians 4:12 gives us a stunning picture of his dedication. It says he was always laboring fervently for you in prayers. The original language here is intense. It means to agonize, to wrestle. Why? Because the Colossian church was facing serious threats from false philosophies and mystical ideas that were trying to distract them from the simple truth of Christ. Epaphras modeled intercessory leadership, battling for the church on his knees. This reminds us that spiritual victory isn't won just through good teaching, but through earnest, agonizing prayer. Prayer is the very breath of the soul, the secret to spiritual power. And the gospel's power wasn't just theological, it was deeply personal and social. This is beautifully illustrated through the story of Onesimus. In Colossians 4-9, Paul refers to him as a faithful and beloved brother. But if we look at the short letter to Philemon, we learn Onesimus was a runaway slave who belonged to Philemon, a leader in the Colossian church. Through Paul's ministry in Rome, Onesimus had a life-changing conversion. Paul then sends him back to Philemon, not as a slave, but as a brother in Christ. From runaway to reconciled, from slave to brother, from separation to unity. This is the gospel in action. It breaks down every social barrier, every human distinction of caste or status. Colossae becomes a living example of God's plan to create a unified people in Christ. Now, while Colossae isn't one of the 7 churches mentioned in Revelation, it was located in the same region and breathed the same spiritual air. The warnings given to churches like Ephesus, which had lost its first love, and Laodicea, which was lukewarm, were directly relevant to Colossae. The Church's struggle against false doctrine was a preview of the end-time battle for truth that God's people would face. It stood as a reminder to remain vigilant and Christ-centered. This brings us back to Paul's heart for these believers. Even though he was physically absent, his spirit was with them. In Acts 20, reflecting on his ministry, he said he warned everyone night and day with tears for 3 years. He watched over Colossae through letters, through messengers like Epaphras and Onesimus, and through constant prayer. He was a true watchman, guarding the truth, warning against deception, and always elevating Christ above all human philosophy. So, what are the big takeaways for us today from this ancient church? First, Christ must be supreme in everything. Second, we must be discerning and reject any philosophy or spirituality that diminishes him. Third, fervent prayer is essential to sustain our faith and doctrinal purity. And finally, the gospel is meant to reconcile us to God and to each other, creating a family of believers. The story of Paul and Colossae teaches us that truth, when faithfully planted and watered with prayer, will always bear fruit, creating a people who truly reveal Christ in their lives and character. Thanks for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that dives deep into the Word. See you next time.